Okay, this is a little ReactDnD demo. As I showed you before, I have course on. When I drop an image, it gets the ID of the image and sends an API request, and uses the ID to get the Pokemon. I'm using Pokemon API to get a Pokemon that has that number. So this is a little simple demo, but let's see how it works. Okay, I'm importing the components container. Okay, container is the image component. Inside the image component we have an image. Okay, and the other targets are these squares. Okay, you can drop on either, and they have some CSS styling that is applied when an item that is draggable and droppable is on top of one of these two. To be able to use the drag and drop ReactDnD, we need to import HTML5 again and drag and drop context. You get them and here. This is the GitHub page. You install these two. Let's go to the package.json. Okay, here they are. You install them, you import them as usual. Okay, and you need to wrap your component inside the drag and drop context. Okay, it even tells you, I'm using ES6. It even tells you a little bit of, add some comments to show you this is how to change the CSS, but we'll take a look at it in a little bit. Okay, let's keep going. So this is how the app is structured. As I said, the container has the images. I'm just importing some images and pushing them inside an array. So I'm passing all the props to the image component that inside is getting the ID and the name, and to the source that is rendering the images. Okay. Okay. So I'm also using actions to the API call, but we'll get into this a little later. Let's go back to app.js. Okay, as I said, we need to wrap the app context, the app component inside the drag and drop context. Okay, in this mapping, let me get this thing straight. So everything is happening inside the image, the actual image, not the container. I'm just passing the props and displaying or rendering an image component each time I'm passing the props. Okay. So inside here we need to import drag source that makes the components or the images to be draggable. We need to add, okay, you will see here, we need to wrap again our component inside the drag source. What is drag source? Okay, let's take a look. Docs drag source. Okay, just wrap your component to make it draggable. I'm using J6, and you need to add these parameters on the drag source: the type, the spec, and the collect, and it will wrap your component. So this is a little explanation of what each parameter is. So this is either a string or a symbol. Okay, right now I'm using image, just a string, but they give you an example of how to use objects. You can even add something like a file that has all your constant types, and just export them, export the file, okay, and get the name you want. Okay, so this is just a string. You can change it. Okay, this is the image. You can change it, but I will show you why we need this. Let's go to target. Inside target, you see we have the same name. Okay, we need this because we want, okay, we want an image to be able to be dropped inside this little square. It needs to be the same name or the same type. In this case it would be the type card. Types card, we add the item source and the collect. Okay, I got a little thing here. If you can read it, you can read it. Okay, but I will explain a little bit later. So okay, this is image. Let's change it here because, not just because, let's say image 2. This is target, just target. So it should be refreshed. If I try to drop the component image here, you know that I'm not able to, but I can drop it here. Okay, and it's doing the same. It's getting the Pokemon and all that. Okay, but I can't drop anything else here. Why? Because it's expecting an element with the name image2. Okay, but let's go to target 2. Target 2 is expecting a name called, well, an element called image. So if I change, let me go to, okay, if I change this to image2, it's refreshing. I can now drop inside this one, but I can't drop inside this one. Okay, so that's a little thing that got me off when I started this. So let's take it back to image. Okay, now I can drop in both. So as I said, everything is happening inside the image, not inside the container component. Okay, also we need to pass a item, a source. How is it called? Let me and a spec. Okay, so the spec is an object with methods on it. Which methods? I think it has some specification methods. These are the methods that you can set. So you pass this as an object, which is this one. Okay. You add it has a little explanation of what each method do. So you add the ability to say something, because this is the first thing that is called, and I'm just consoling the dragging. Okay. I'm still not, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just trying to explain a little bit, because when I started learning React drag and drop, I watched some tutorials, but I like to understand how things work, at least at a certain degree. So some things were unknown, and I'm trying to explain a little bit of how everything works. So it's pretty easy in a way to set it up, because you even have some examples. Okay, what the hell? Okay, you even have some examples of how to do it, but if you don't understand what using prop types, what some important parts are doing, then you are just copying it, So okay, I added some little comments here. I will add the repo also. So okay, this is the first thing that is called when the element is being dragged. When you finish the drag, okay, the end drag kicks in. So you can call monitor that did drop, that is here, to check if the drop was handled by a compatible drop element. How you know it's compatible? Because it has the same name. It expects the same name. So I'm checking if I'm getting something that the component is expecting. That the target is waiting for an image, and I'm checking if I'm dropping inside. Let's see, if I'm dropping inside a compatible element. Okay, so if I'm not, it's just returning, and it's staying in the same in the same place. It's not being deleted. After that, if it's a compatible element, we return the handle drop function that is inside the container that is being passed here. That is delete item. So I'm using the state to filter the element, and after that I'm using the same ID, okay, that is being passed. I'm using the same ID to call the Pokemon API to show you that you can do more things than just deleting elements. Okay, so after this, okay, boom, 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 boom. So that's that. Now this is making the getting ID to make an API call to Pokemon API. Sure. Yeah. And I'm consoling the responsive data, that is the thing we are seeing. Okay, let's do the same. And it's doing the same for for both. because both are being handled in the same way. If you want to handle something differently, you will need to add, or that's what I think, we will need to add a different container, like container 2, and get a function, that maybe does the same, but maybe makes a call to a different thing. And connect that to your target using the name you want to use. Okay? So that's that. Item source is passing the methods, okay, compatible methods. These documents, okay, these structures. So specification methods, no. Parameters, if I had a my the 6. Okay. You can learn a little bit more feeding this. Can drag this dragging. Some are optional. Okay, so let's keep moving. That's it. This is managing these methods. It's injecting them. That's why you have to add an object. Let's go to collect. Here, collect. Should return a plain object. Oh, it's injecting props inside your component. So you're going to inject, and this is the collect function. It accepts 2 parameters. These are by default. So you are passing this as properties. Let's go to specification methods, connect, monitor. There's a lot to this. But some things are just, but that's the way it is. Check source, no. Parameters, connect, monitor. Nesting, this is an example. Type definitions, I'm not using type definitions. I swear I saw a little explanation about the collect. Because there are different, let's go back to here. There are different properties. Okay, so maybe you will need to take a look at this one, because I can't find. Okay, read for an introduction. Items and types, monitors, connectors. Okay, I'm okay. So let's keep going. Let's say that this is injecting. You need these properties to be able to make some things. I'm not sure because I saw them, but you will have to take a look at that by yourselves. So the spec, okay, last connect. Okay, let's forget about that. So okay, after that you need to pass this, and you need to get this from the properties, okay, to be injected, and you need to connect. Instead of just returning, you need to return a connect source that is connecting the properties to this component. Okay. So that's for the recipes. Did I change it? It's still working. Okay, so that's that. Remember, this is just the image, it's not the container that has the image in it. Okay, inside the container we're just passing the properties and handling when well, the function that is going to delete and make the API call, we're just passing it as props. Let's go to target, just one because the other one is the same thing. I just wanted to add another one here, so you can see, to be able to see this compatibility. Okay, so target, we need to also import drop target. Okay, drop your component inside this. I'm not passing any function, any method here, so you can just add an empty object. Okay, it's the same, it's injecting this little, this hover is actually the thing that make us perceive when something is inside or above the elements. Okay, so in this case we only need the collect to be able to drop inside this here. That is passing, not passing, but injecting these properties inside the element. We are rendering the div. We need to connect it with, instead of just returning the div, we connect it with the connect drop target. Okay, these are the properties that are being injected, and you're just changing the background. We're checking if it's hover, okay, and changing if it is and if it isn't. So it's when I'm not hovering anything, no, it stays the same. But when I hover, it changes the background. Okay. So I told you to connect you wrap your component inside the drop target. These two parameters are by default. The API will get these two, so you just need to pass them. And I think that's it. It's just a lot of moving parts inside ReactDnD, but that's in case you are using it and you quite don't understand how to do some things, or maybe why you need to add this name, or what this spec is doing, or what collect is doing. So I just wanted to make this little tutorial using doing a little bit more, instead of just dragging and deleting, to making an API call, just a little bit more. So I think that's it. I'm still getting used to this speaking, because you tend to forget things while you're focusing on some other things, like if everything is clear when you're speaking. So let me know if there's something wrong,
So I can get better with this. So I'm just importing the images. Okay, that's fine. Oh, this is the component, the image component. So choose inside, which is this one. Okay, the CSS is just plain CSS, nothing new. And that's it. You connect using HTML5 backend and draggable context. You will drag drop context to wrap your application inside the image of the element you want to be you want to make draggable. You need to wrap it inside the drag source. To be draggable, you need to add a name for this element. You need to add some specs, some functions or methods that will be no code. These are default methods that will be called. Okay, a collect that is the injecting, okay, the properties into your component, and you need to use connect drag source to actually pass the properties. Beside the target, if you want to be compatible with what you are using on your element, you need to add the same name, or as I showed you before, you can add a constant types, a file with, okay, let's do this. Something like this, types.js, to add your types, your types object, then export it, and call it inside here. Now import with types, or the same types from this is same types. Okay, and you just call it here using the same syntax. Okay, so this is okay. Let's fill out the target. Let's close this one. So that's it. To make it compatible, you add the same name that is inside your driver component. You don't need to pass, to work, you don't need to pass any other method, but you need to inject these properties, okay? And you need to connect drop target to be able to inject everything, okay? So wrap your component as always, and yeah, if you want to change, because this hover and things like that, you need to look for them inside the drop target, because I can find it. And hover, so you can even add a preview or things like that when you hover. Okay, so I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all. There's a lot of information, a lot of moving parts inside this library. So if you have any doubt, I will upload the repo and add it to the description. If you have any question, just let me know. But the documentation is quite fine, it's pretty good. But as I said, there are a lot of moving parts. So, okay, that's it. Let me know if there's something wrong with the audio, with everything else. And see you later. Boom, boom, boom.